Hello and welcome back to my channel, and thanks for rejoining me with my AD&D first edition solo campaign. We are in the ruined temple of Darkwater Lake. It is now our third episode that we have been down into the complex. We had to cut away from the last episode because of time, but we had been in the middle of quite an intense combat involving 10 goblins, a goblin patrol under their leader, Grunk Blacktooth. Grunk Blacktooth, unfortunately for him and his followers, was slain by Lindris, but after, not before giving Lindris a nasty nick with his military pick. And Lindris is now toiling with only 2 hit points left. So what I suggest we do is we just return to that combat. We still had to finish one round. I will recreate this as if by magic. I have recreated the situation. So we'll put that there in camera shot. I think what I'll do as well is I have been doing Hero Quest as a little bit of a sideline on the channel, and I happen to have some little props that I have been jazzing up some of my other games, particularly my Homes one, and I thought, well, why not put in some little props just to give us a bit of flavour, seeing that I do have them to hand, and that gives us some little doors on my map. Thought it might be fun. So we've only got 4 goblins left. These are all unscathed, and in fact I do have a little summary. And just as a kind of recap, these goblins, they came up as one of my options in my rule of 4, and they came up as a goblin patrol, which were part of a larger group, what I would call a faction in this ruined temple, under a goblin boss. So he's lurking within this complex somewhere, and this is one of his patrols that he's sent out under one of his deputies, Grunk Blacktooth. Now Grunk has passed away. This is the statistics. We're actually left with number 2, who is a sling and a sword. Yeah, and he actually has had some damage, but he's still got 5. We've got number 3, who is fighting Dagobert, and he hasn't got much. He's got a spear and 1 hit point. And I think I left the numbers that they needed to hit in the stone, etched into the stone on and this is a sacrificial chamber, by the way, just to kind of, we've been here for so long, you almost feel like you've moved in. We've discovered this about 2 episodes ago, and we've mapped it all out and had all things like a cage and a whistle and a stool and cressets and that type of stuff. We're going to try to get to the end of this combat, put a line in its sand. One thing we have to do is make sure that none of these goblins escape, and probably raise the alarm. So from memory, I can remember that Dagbert had, we'd rolled initiative and we got equal initiative, and what happens then is that we just do it, everyone does it at the same time, it's simultaneous. So we had Dagobert and this spear goblin fight, and they had both missed. We had Lindris with Dark Slayer. He had actually slain Grunk Blacktooth in quite a massive amount of damage. Was basically probably lopped his head off. The head probably flew up about 6 feet into the air, came back down again, clattering on the floor. It was all very dramatic, but we still had this particular combat to resolve. So I would say that Anarian is probably taking on 2 that have managed to try to squeeze their way past this dais. And we have Tristan, who is taking on this one here. So let's have Tristan, we'll have the 1-to-1, Tristan against goblin number 5. And I've got my little sheets out here that I've got my weapon factors. And also I took my own advice, and I thought, well, right, I should really have a little summary posted of the characters. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have this close to hand so that we know it. It's what I call table clutter in wargaming, but I think we've only got a slightly longer to go, and that just gives me a little aid memoir that I can use when I'm doing the actual calculations and whatever. So we'll get our D20 ready. Let's do the goblin first against Tristan, and Tristan has got an armor class of 6, and the goblin 5 has a morning star, and goblin 5 is quite a brute. Goblin 5 has got 7. He was one of the really strong ones. So morning star against armor class 6. And just from memory, what was Tristan's detailed armor class? Because I think he might have a shield, and so that means that we have a slightly different armor class. So if you just bear with me, this is where my system it's not nuanced enough to pick up this. So armor class 6, he has got studded leather and shield normal. So he has got studded leather armor. So that is armor class, I think armor class 7. Yes, armor class 7 we go against. So the goblin, who is up to -1 against armor class 6 for the hit, he needs a 15, and it's a weapon factor. So we need a 15 to hit, and he is using a morning star against armor class 7. And he gets a +1. So this goblin needs a 14 to hit. So in fact, I will just jot down on here, this bit here, just say that he needs a 14 after all adjustments. So let's see what he gets. We'll get the old dice out and see if we can roll it. Try not to knock any doors over. Number 12. So that means he's a missed. So that's good for Tristan. That morning star was swinging around, obviously whooshed over his head. So it is his turn to take on the goblin. And now with Tristan, he has +3 damage if he connects, and he also has +2 to hit because of his exceptional strength. And we know that the goblins have armor class of 6. So if we go to the fighter's matrix, fighter has against armor class 6, it needs a 14. +2, he needs 12. And let's see if his longsword does anything against studded leather as well. So we're down to 12. Longsword, 0. So he needs a 12 or more. So we'll just do a little 12 here. Bit awkward to do, but 12. So come on, Tristan. Let's dispatch this quite strong character here. A miss, unfortunately. So Tristan misses with a 5. Okay, we've got this combat here between Anarian and these two goblins. Now, Goblin 2 has got, he's got a sword and a sling. So I would say he's just going to use his short sword against Anarian. And Anarian has got armor class of 5. Just from memory, has he got a shield? I don't think he has a shield, but I'll just double check. Anarian has got armor class of 5. Chainmail. Yes, he's just got chainmail. Okay, so it's armor class 5 with the weapon factors. So a sword against armor class 5, a short sword against armor class 5 is actually a -1. So this goblin has -1, and I think it was they needed against armor class 5 was 16. So he actually needs a 17 to hit an area. So I'll just go put in here, we 17. In there. These doors are slightly, they're starting to affect us a bit. Right, so we'll get 17 or more to hit an area. 18. Oh, look at that. That's a hit. So what does a short sword do? I think it does 1 to 6, but let's double check. It does 1 to 6 points of damage. So Anarian can take quite a lot, but he's already had a slight bit. He's still got 3, he's carrying 3 hit points of damage. So we do 4 against Anarian, so he's now up to 7. So he is down to 9 hit points. So he jolts a bit, goes, oh, that was sore. This other goblin who has got a spear. Now a spear, again, it's a 14 to hit. Well, sorry, it was against armor class 5. It's a 15, and a spear against armor class 5 is a -1. So he needs a 16 as well. So this goblin actually needs a 6. Oh, hold on. Yeah. Am I doing that right? Yeah, because I had a -1 for the short sword. Yeah, -1. And it was against armor class 5 for these characters. Yeah, 6, sorry, it should be 16 is our base. And for a spear, it's -1. So it's number 17 for him. So we'll do 17 for that one. So this goblin with the spear needs a 17 to hit Anarian. Misses. So finally we get round to Anarian, and Anarian is just straight. He's got his long sword, so he's going to swing it at armor class 6, which is 15, and a long sword against armor class 7 is 0. So he needs a 15 or more to hit, and he's going to go for 1 to 3. It's number 2, so he goes for number 2. 15 or more, 11. So, and I'll put a little 15 down here, so that we've got that. Okay, so that's the end of that entire round, because we've already done the previous characters. And in fact, I'll just move these out of the way just now. It's a bit too cosmetic, so I can get my paws in on the combat. We come to rolling for initiative again. So we'll get goblin dice is black and the character's dice is red. So equal again. So what we're going to do, let's do Dagobert against this one, and I would say yeah, let's see how we get on with this particular thing. So we'll have Dagobert. He needs a 14 to hit this goblin. 17 he does. He's got a footman's mace, and I think that's 1d6. I think it's 2 to 7, I think. So a mace, footman's, does 2 to 7 points of damage. So that's 1d6 plus 1. So 1d6 plus 1, he does 5. That's 6 points of damage against goblin number 3. Eliminated, because it only had 1. However, the goblin gets a little chance to fight because it's simultaneous. So he tries to stab him. He doesn't. So that is another goblin gone. Well done, Dagobert. So that will probably make up Lindras's mind that he's just going to move around and try to take this chap on the side with Darkslayer. Darkslayer is still quite hungry after taking poor Grunk's. I mean, it doesn't actually take his soul, but I suppose I'm almost comparing Darkslayer a bit to Stormbringer. I shouldn't really be, but you know, I suppose for artistic license, it does have that kind of almost a kind of vibe about it. There's quite a ruthless weapon, and it's almost like has a sense of, you know, not souls, but maybe just, you know, skulls or whatever it is that it, you know, is its thing. So let's do this. We've got Lindras. Well, we'll do Anarian first against this one. and Anarian's got 15 and the goblin's got 17. So Anarian needs a 15 to hit. He misses. The goblin needs a 17 to hit Anarian, so he misses. We'll do Tristan and this goblin. So Tristan needs a 12 to hit. He hits with a 13, and Tristan's got a long sword, I think, and a long sword does, I think that does 1 to 8. Sword long 1 to 8. Good. So he will do 1 to 8 points of damage. So I will make sure I get my 8-sided dice. He does 5 against goblin number 5. Goblin number 5. Oh, that's the Morning Star one. So he's still on his feet. He's down to 2. And goblin number 5 with his Morning Star says, yes, I can take this. I could take this from you. Half elf, whatever you are. 15, it hits Tristan with his Morning Star. Oh dear. And the Morning Star does. Yeah, these last goblins are really proving to be quite a thorn in our flesh. So it's 2d4 of damage. So let's see what Tristan's only got. He could probably take it unless this. Oh, it's a 4. And another. And that's 5 points of damage. So he's taken 6 in total. That's not good. So it's looking really quite precarious for the characters. I think we're reaching a bit of a critical juncture. We do have Lindris on the go with Darkslayer, and he can try to assault this goblin. And Darkslayer is a broadsword, and against armor class 7, it gets a +1. So that's +3 because of it's a +2 broadsword. And we know that against armor class 6, he gets against 14. So he adds 3, so he needs an 11 or more. So we'll put a little 11 down there to hit. So let's see if Lindris slays this pesky goblin. We've got a D4 in there. Let's see what he gets. So he misses. Oh dear. So the pesky goblin who has got, just refer to number 8, he has got a spear. And we know that Lindris has got chainmail, so that's armor class 5. Just check, Lindris. He's armor class 2 because of his amazing dexterity, but he's only wearing chainmail. So a spear against armor class 5 is -1. And a monster against armor class 2 is 19. So he needs an actual 20. He needs a 20 to hit Lindris with his spear, because he gets a bit of a minus. So at least Lindris has got that going in his favour. So he does miss. So that's the end of that particular round. I suppose we did have potentially Adelind in play, and she does have a staff and a dagger. Is she willing to maybe enter the fray? I don't know. I think she maybe just wants to maybe maintain her poise, and just if it is a real emergency, she will come in. Say Tristan had taken full damage and he'd gone, she would have probably stepped in then. But let's see how these, the fact that Dagbert's now been freed up, and also we've got the chance of getting some initiative. If we win an initiative, that might be a different story. Let's see what it is this round. So we get, yes, we do actually win initiative. We get 3 against 1. So after the disruption of that dice. So I'll say the Dagobert moves around and says, okay, your time is numbered. And he needs a 14 to hit, because that will be the same no matter what. So we'll do Dagobert. 14 to hit that goblin. 16, so he needs a 16. 16 with his thing is a 1d6 + 1 against. So number 8 goblin he was down to 1. He is gone. So before he even gets a chance, before even Darkslayer gets a chance to, I have missed out on that one. I'm just going to have to get somebody else. So we've got an Arian, and he can try. Now an Arian really needs to get this. He needs a 15. So he gets a 6, so he misses. And Tristan needs a 12 to hit this Morning Star Goblin. So he misses too. So we do have Lindris, who is freed up, and he's not done anything. So would he be able to close? I suppose he is so close. We can almost say that he maybe we'll give him a bit of a penalty, just to say that he's had to step over a couple of slain goblins and also get over this trench. But he can lay in. So let's say he needs an 11, but we'll penalise him with 2. So we'll say 13 or more for Lindris. So he does a 1. So that didn't pay off at all. So Lindris doesn't really do too well. So it is the goblin's turn, and this goblin needs a 14 to hit Tristan. 18. Oh, I don't believe it. So we're going to have to get the old dice out for this. So the first dice is a 2, and the second dice is 3. So he's done 5. So we're actually we're down to, that's 11 hit points. So Tristan now goes unconscious, and he's at -2. So I'll have to quickly consult the rules on AD&D, but I think if you get down to -3 with 1 blow, you're dead. But you can go down to -3, or before, negative hit points with 1 blow. So Tristan is down. The Morning Star has done its business. That isn't very good. So that's a bit sad. And also we've got this one against an Arian, so he's a 17 to do that. That's a miss. That's a 4. Okay, so that wasn't too clever. And Tristan is down. We've got a man down. What are we going to do about that? Let's see what we can try to salvage from this operation. So it's a case of rolling initiative and just praying that we get initiative and manage to extinguish this threat. Let's see how we get on. So we do. We gain initiative. So I would say that these characters basically move in. So Lindra says, right, I'm going to go for this one. Dagobert, you come in behind this guy here. And let's see if we can give them a bit of a thump. So we'll do Dagobert first. He needs a 14 to hit. He gets a 17. So Dagobert's on fire. He's really doing a great job. He does 1d6 plus 1. He does 6 points of damage against that number 2, which is enough because he was down to 5. So that's good. So he's out of the equation. We're really just left with this Morning Star guy. That he's down to he's down to 2, and we've got Dark Slayer against him. So I would say that's going to be a 14 to hit for Dark Slayer. 14 to hit, and we managed to remove that one. So at least we didn't get another chance to try to hit. So Dark Slayer misses. We've got Tristan down. So Anarian's going to do the business, and basically he needs a 15. So let's hope that he can do it. So he misses 2. So this pesky goblin, Morning Star, he's only got 2 hit points left. He's got an elf coming down on him. He's got a ranger. Which one is he going to go for? Let's do a 1 to 3. It's an Arian. It is an Arian. And I think that that goblin needed a 17 to hit. So let's see if the Morning Star whacks. I think it is, yeah. Morning Star needs a 17. It misses. So that's the end of that round. So this goblin is being forced into this, almost up to the wall. And probably what he's doing is he's probably starting to shout and scream. And they're going, we're going to have to try to extinguish these shouts, these cries. It could be attracting attention. Poor old Tristan. And what Adeline can do is she can maybe come immediately and start administering medical attention. and see whether she can staunch his wounds, stop the blood, and basically get him back to 0 hit points. But you know, that's going to take a bit of time. So at least we had Adelind. She can do the medical stuff while we try to sort this pesky goblin out. So what we'll do is we'll roll for initiative, see who gets it. And I say the goblin is, I think he's beyond surrender. He's almost gone into like a battle frenzy. He knows he's up against the wall. It's either do or die. That is what's happening here. So he actually gets initiative. So which one is he going to go for? Is he going to go for an Aryan? Is he going to go for the new cleric? Or is he going to go for Dark Slayer? Let's have a 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. We get an Aryan again, and I think he needed a 17 to try and hit an Aryan. So the Morningstar whirls, it misses. Obviously the goblin is becoming a bit fatigued. It feels like his morale is crumbling. So an Aryan needs a 15 to hit. He misses. Dagobert needs a 14 to hit. He misses. Lindris needs, I think he needs was it an 11? I think it was an 11 to hit. He does. So Dark Slayer slices in, and he will do a minimum of 2 points of damage because it is a +2 weapon. So the goblin is slain at last. Phew. So the characters go. They're not jubilant because Tristan is injured. There's a man down, and also we are labouring with a situation where we have a bit of a problem. Now, I'm just trying to remember whether we had a situation where we took any healing potions, and I can't understand. I think we took some holy water, but we didn't take any healing potions. I think that was what the conversation we had back in Marchton with the in the temple. I think they gave us some holy water, but we don't have any healing potions. So all we really have is Dagobert to do the business. But let's have a quick breath, deep breath. We've come to the end of this combat. Let's survey what we have, what we know, what has happened. That is 10 goblins down. We're really going to have a rest at the end of that combat. So I'll get my little chart out that shows you where we are up to. So we were actually in our rest period when this happened. So we're going to have to take another turn out to rest. So let's say that is 10:40 is our time clock, and we're into 1 turn. So that's what we're doing. We're resting and we're recuperating. We're staunching Tristan's wounds, and I'll just double check what situation is on hit points, but I think you can go down to -3 in AD&D for combats. I'll just double check on the thing. It's at the end. Exactly. Here we go. Hit points. 0 hit points. When any creature is brought to 0 hit points, optionally as low as my hour. So it's optionally, well, I'm going to do the option as low as -3 hit points. If from the same blow, which brought the total to 0, it is unconscious. In each of the next succeeding rounds, 1 additional negative point will be lost until -10 is reached and the creature dies. Such loss and death are caused from bleeding, shock, convulsions, non-respiration, and similar causes. It ceases immediately on any round a friendly creature administers aid to the unconscious one. Well, that's what Adelind did. Aid consists of binding wounds, starting respiration, administering a draft, such as spirits, healing potions, etc., or otherwise doing whatever is necessary to restore life. Any character brought to 0 or fewer hit points and then revived will remain in a coma for 1 to 6 turns. Okay. Thereafter, he or she must rest for a full week minimum. He or she be incapable of any activity other than necessary to move slowly. Alright, so basically Tristan is out of action. So this is a bit of a disaster for the party, because Tristan was basically, for want of a better word, was the party's mule. He was, with his amazing strength, he was used to carrying a lot of stuff. So basically the encumbrance is going to have to be shared with everybody else in the party, which is a bit of a bind. Yeah. However, what we can do is we can use I suppose we do have the power of healing with Dagobert. And I wonder whether a healing spell would actually counter that, or is it such a critical shock to the system, having gone to a -0, that that even a cure spell would. So let's see if anything says that in the clerical spell. I might just say that cure light wounds. It really isn't, I suppose, light wounds. Upon laying creature, this healing will not affect creatures with. Note that cure wounds are permanent only insofar as the creature does not sustain further damage, and that caused wounds will heal or can be cured. Right. Yeah, I don't even think the cure light wounds would do it. Maybe for the purposes of this adventure, we should maybe. Yeah. So what has Tristan actually gone down to? He's gone down to -2 on this. So I'm gonna invoke the option rule that we can go down to -3. Now Adeline immediately applied some medical attention, and she staunched the wounds. And let's say, for sake of argument, that she's got a lot of medical skill herself. And she's been able to revive Tristan, and he's been able to come round. Now he's going to be unconscious for 1 to 6. So that is going to basically affect us as well. So that's part of the rest period. So let's see how long he's out. So he's going to be out for 5. So we're going to have to stay in place. So that's 3, 4, and then 5. So we're almost up to having to have another wandering monster check. This isn't good news for the party. So he's going to be out for 5. I would say that Dagobert says, well, what I can do is I can give him a cure light wound spell. But let's say that Tristan, if he is revived and we manage to cure some of his hit points, he is still left kind of incapacitated, and he can't really perform the same level. And what we might have to do is curtail our adventuring. Maybe we're going to have to just say, this is maybe more than we've bitten off more than we can chew on this one. Okay. I am kind of loath to do that and leave Darkwater Lake, because we're going to have to try to get back across that causeway and then head a day's journey back to Marston and heal up. I suppose Adeline's party were faced with a similar thing where we had Malor, and he had broken his leg, and basically the characters said, look, we can't really proceed any further because we're one individual down. Can we proceed? Let's have a look at our other characters, because Lindris isn't too clever either. He's down by 3. He's only got 2 hit points left. And Anarian's taken 7, so he's taken quite a bit of a beating too. He's down to 9. So I think maybe the characters think, well, this was just a little goblin party, and look what they've done to us. We weren't really expecting Tristan to be quite so affected by the whole thing. Yeah. Okay, well, we do have another little a mini checklist that comes into play when we finish a combat, and let's go through that. And by that stage, I might have actually just inside my head come to a resolution of what we're going to do. I would be kind of loath to kind of jettison Darkwater Lake at this stage and then have to go all the way back and then, heal up and then come back. But maybe that's what we're going to have to do. And this time, bring some healing potions. Might be a good thing. Actually, invest in that. So we've had our rest period after combat, but that is extended by the fact that Tristan has been incapacitated. So we've had 5 periods. We're going to have to do our weapon retrieval. And I would say that on an arrows basis, an Aryan has got, let's just get this, another post-it on the go. An Aryan has fired 6 in the surprise segment, and then he fired another 2. So he's got 8 that he has to retrieve. Tristan fired 1 in the first surprise round, and then he fired 2 thereafter. So he can't actually recover it just now. So we're going to have to get maybe someone else to do that. So we could probably get Adelind or whatever. So let's get Adelind to recover those Tristan's arrows. And then Lindris, I suppose Dagobert, he doesn't really like touching these things. He's a bit funny about it. Cleric touching these sharp things. And Lindris threw his dagger. So let's just consult. Let's just do that just now and get that out of the way. We'll get that done. I'm going to get my purple folder for this, pink folder, whatever you want to call it. Let's do a quick bit of weapon recovery. And on the weapons, we do, let's get to the sheet. I thought my weapon recovery stuff was, yeah, weapon retrieval. Arrow recovery, 40% plus 1d6 times 10. So let's see how many an Aryan gets back. 40% plus, so he only gets 50% back. So he's lost 4. So he's got 4 back. And let's see how many Adelind manages to retrieve. And she gets 100%. So she gets all 3 back. So we're back to 3 for Tristan when he comes round. And then for a thrown weapon, it's 60% plus 1d4. So 1d4, and that's our percentage chance of getting it. So we've got a 90% chance of getting our weapon back. So I'll just get my percentage dice out. And that's the D8, D10. Percentage dice. So yes, we do. We get 16. So the dagger is recovered. So we're doing fine on weapon retrieval. The next thing on my little list is what else? Yeah, I did originally have healing of Lindris as being the option at the end, but I think Lindris is way down the food chain now. I think we're going to have to try to heal Tristan. And if we do heal Tristan, let's see what Dagobert does. So Tristan does come round after five turns, and he goes, "What hit me? Last thing I saw was that morning star coming towards my head, and then whack! I was out for the count. I feel terrible. I've got some nicely staunched wounds here. You're binding, Adelind. Thank you very much. But I feel absolutely awful. Dagobert, please lay your hands on me. Do what you do, clerical thing." And Dagobert says, "Okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to see what I can do. I'll do 1 to 8 points of damage. Try to recover. So I'll make sure I've got my 8-sided dice." And it says, "Bane, please give Tristan the strength to carry on with your divine intervention." And 8 points of damage is recovered. So Tristan he is pretty well. He will do 11. So we go down to if we've only got 3, as if he has got 3 off. So I'm going to say, because Dagobert has done such an effective Cure Light Wound spell, that Tristan is pretty operational now. Maybe he is going to have basically a bit under par for a while if they carry on. So, but I would say that he has not got that awful handicap that we're going to have. I've really got have a bit of a rain check on it. I'm just not sure. I just feel that I'm almost like going against the grain of what the Dungeon Master's Guide says. Because if you think of it, if you go down to 0 or less, this is actually getting into almost like physical damage. It's not this hit point thing, which is all about, you know, your fatigue and, you know, your ability to dodge and whatever, and using up stamina. It's actually getting into physical damage on your body. It's probably quite catastrophic if it gets down to that. So let's just have another quick look, and then I'll make a decision on it, probably in the next one. And I can see the time actually marching on. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna come up with a bit of a ruling on that. And the sad thing is that because that's happened, we might have to actually curtail our Darkwater Lake adventure and potentially head back and try to rest up. But let's see what my thinking comes to. I haven't, you know, I suppose when you think about it, none of my adventures so far has come to the point where any of the characters have either died or they have gone below, they become unconscious. You know, this is actually quite a revelation today, having this happen, and then try to factor it in. And the fact that we're not just down the road, you know, if we were in Dunmorna, basically we could maybe kind of almost like limp back with Tristan, and it's a day's march. But we've got quite a bit of a shenanigans to get us back to Marchton from here. And in fact, I was almost looking at seeing whether we had another escape route possible. And if we look at our map and where we are on Darkwater Lake, you know, that's our position here, and we're at the north of the lake. Even if we moved round this side and avoided that river, we're still through pretty, you know, quite a bit of distance, and all we're going to do is hit the military road, and we still got to march to Marchton or down to Wayford as being our safe place. We could be fortunate and actually bump into the patrol, and they would probably be able to have some healing as part of their complement. But yeah, I think we are faced with a bit of an issue here. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave it on a bit of a downer, this one. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'll just stop the video there and have a think about it and see where we go in the next episode, and see whether we can come to some form of remedial. If anybody's got any comments that they want to do about what the situation that happens, and whether cure light wounds can be a panacea to these type of things, it just strikes me as being a bit more catastrophic and something that does actually require some proper healing to get you back, and not just a cure light wounds. Because you do have something called cure. There's actually something called cure serious wounds, I think. Let's just have a quick look at that, and that'll be in the player's handbook. If you don't mind indulging me for a second, I'm almost doing my thinking out loud. Let's have a look. Clerics. Yeah, cure serious wounds is a 4th level. So let's have a look at that, and maybe this is going to answer my question. So a 4th level spell, cure serious, 4th level, cure serious wounds. Okay, so we've got this here. So cure serious wounds says, this spell is a more potent version of the cure light wounds spell. Upon laying his or her hand upon a creature, the cleric causes from 3 to 17 hit points of wound or other injury damage to the creature's body to be healed. This healing will affect only those creatures listing in the cure wound. Yeah, causes it. Right, that's the reverse. So it doesn't actually say anything about. So there might be a chance. It's not saying that you have cure serious wounds because it doesn't affect. Yeah, so I might actually just make a ruling and say cure light wounds, and because Dagobah's done such a sterling job, he's relieved Tristan of 8 hit points of damage. It might actually allow him to bounce back. You've had the time penalty of 5 rounds or 5 turns. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I leave on a more positive note, and we can return to it with the thought that, well, Tristan is got a bit of damage, but he can carry on. We've really got to maybe look after Lindris a bit. He's got high armor class, so he is well protected. And Anarian, well, if we can get Dagobert to do a bit of meditation again, he can get Anarian cured. Yeah, maybe that is the way to do it. I've actually turned it round a wee bit, and we just carry on, and then we don't have to face with the prospect of having to go all the way back to Marchton, heal up, and then head out again. I suppose the other options is that when we come to explore this ruin a bit more, we do come across treasures that does include healing potions. And that might be something that I can maybe try to factor in to some of the treasures that we come across. There is a chance of coming across that and giving us a bit of relief. But yeah, okay, well that's good. I think I'll leave a bit more positive. So we'll come to the next adventure with basically a mop-up of the situation. Kind of put a line in the sand on this. What door are we going to go through? Because we've already come through this one. We've got a choice of 3 doors that we're going to go. Are we going to go further into the ruin? It looks as though we're going to carry on. Good. Right. Well, I enjoyed that, apart from Tristan's debacle, but hopefully we've got a resolution for that. Thanks for joining me on this one, and I hope to see you next time.